Hello, and I hope that you are having a fantastic day. Today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency news. We're going to look at a Bitcoin forecast for $100,000. We're going to take a look at cryptocurrency options contract. And these are options similar to the stock market options. I know a lot of people that love to trade, instead of trading stocks, they actually trade stock options. And we're going to look at a proposed U.S. law. Let's get started. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion. I'm not smarter than you. You are smarter than you realize. Do not trust what I say. Do your own research. So, Bitcoin price matches the stock to flow forecast as $100,000 halving nears. The stock to flow is a way to measure the current supply of something versus how much new is created on an annual basis. And so the stock to flow ratio is used for things like gold and platinum and silver and other precious metals, because we can measure or have a pretty good guesstimate on how much is going to get mined when it comes to people digging gold out of the earth. We have a pretty good idea of how much miners are going to find on an annual basis. And we can compare that to the current amount of gold that actually exists. Well, there's been a group called Plan B who has been applying the same formulas to cryptocurrency, and they found that it actually has a large degree of accuracy in predicting Bitcoin's price, because Bitcoin has a finite supply of 21 million Bitcoins, and every day Bitcoin is being mined, and so we have a very precise idea of how much new Bitcoin is getting created. And so we can apply the stock to flow ratio because we know how much Bitcoin is in existence, and we know how much Bitcoin is going to get mined on a daily basis. And it's been extremely interesting over the years that Bitcoin has existed, that it tends to follow, the price of Bitcoin tends to follow what the stock to flow ratio predicts, because the scarcity of Bitcoin seems to correlate with the price of Bitcoin. And so let's get into this. Stock to flow measures the Bitcoin price using two factors: the stock, or the number of Bitcoins in circulation, and the flow, which is the number of new Bitcoins entering circulation. Bitcoin's low emission rate relative to its existing supply, like gold, means stock to flow constitutes useful evidence in the argument that Bitcoin is digital gold. The cryptocurrencies run up to $9,000 last week took it slightly over where stock to flow pricing forecast suggests it might trade. And so this chart shows the stock to flow ratio, and this colored line shows the price of Bitcoin in relationship to the stock to flow ratio in terms of how close or how far away it is from the actual stock to flow ratio. And you can see at the end of this chart that they're predicting Bitcoin will actually hit $100,000. As Cointelegraph previously reported, stock to flow's creator, the analyst known as Plan B, originally suggested that Bitcoin would hover at an average of, in the year before its block reward halving in May 2020. That didn't make sense. Would hover at an average of in the year. Okay. At that point, a 50% reduction in the number of new Bitcoins released to miners each block would further limit flow versus existing stock. Therefore, he has said the price performance should accelerate dramatically, and by 2022, a single Bitcoin should be worth around $100,000. So I just figured out what he's trying to say here. He's basically saying that between today and May 2020, that the price of Bitcoin should stay relatively the same. And so he's basically saying today the price of Bitcoin is $8,600, and that between today and May of 2020 is when the halving occurs, and the miners get half as much of a reward. There's half as much new Bitcoin created when every new block is added to the Bitcoin blockchain, that at that point that we'll see a significant increase once that reduction of new Bitcoins happens. And that'll happen somewhere around May of 2020 this year. So just kind of interesting. We'll see if the stock to flow ratio continues to prove to be accurate based on whether or not we see $100,000 Bitcoin somewhere around 2022 or by 2022. Previously, Bitcoin's all-time new highs, these all-time new highs that you see on this chart here, here's an all-time new high, here's the next, well, this was an all-time new high, and then another all-time new high, and then the last all-time new high was at $20,000. They have a tendency to happen in December. So, for example, when Bitcoin hit the last halving, the halving happened again like it is going to happen this year around May. That one was around May of 2016. And then a year and a half later in December, Bitcoin hit an all-time new high. And so that's why this thing is talking about before 2022, because they're basically expecting it to hit the all-time new high somewhere around December of 2021. So time will tell. I'm hoping that it actually hits that. That would be fabulous. So there's a new crypto exchange in town. Crypto exchange platform Zipmex gets regulatory nod from the Thai SEC. Crypto exchange platform Zipmex has been granted a digital asset exchange license to operate in Thailand. The crypto exchange had to wait 12 months to obtain the license and is looking to expand to other places in Southeast Asia. And so as time goes on, we see different cryptocurrencies exchanges either becoming compliant with regulatory laws and also expanding their footprints. So it's kind of interesting to see how all of this is growing. Now, Peter Schiff has always been quite negative about Bitcoin. He's a gold guy, and he thinks that people should be investing in gold and staying away from Bitcoin. I just thought this article was kind of interesting. Cryptocurrency skeptic Peter Schiff said he can't access his Bitcoin holdings after his digital wallet stopped accepting his password. I just lost all the Bitcoin I've ever owned, Schiff, chief global strategist at Alliance Global Partners, said in a series of posts on his unverified Twitter account. My wallet got corrupted somehow, and my password is no longer valid. In a follow-up post, Schiff said, it's not that great of a tragedy, as the Bitcoin was gifted to me. My plan was to hold on to it and go down with the ship anyway, he said, employing a phrase used to describe holding onto the security. So HODL just simply means HODL is hold on for dear life, and that represents people who would buy Bitcoin and just never sell it. The difference is that my ship sank before Bitcoin sank. So Peter Schiff has always been predicting that Bitcoin would go to zero. He's had kind of a very contrary attitude towards Bitcoin. I just thought it was interesting that somehow his wallet has become corrupted and he's no longer able to access his Bitcoin. And so all of that is reason for when you're setting up your wallet. Well, it's a good reason to use a hardware wallet instead of a software wallet, because a hardware wallet isn't going to get corrupted. It's hardware. It's burned into chips. And then the other thing is if he had taken all software wallets that I know of give you a way to recover the software wallets. They give you information that if you store that information, you can reinstall the software wallet and then add the information that it provided you, and you should be able to restore it so that you can actually trade in those cryptocurrencies. So that's a good reason to always take care of each, and I'm being vague on purpose because every software wallet and even every hardware wallet has a different way of setting up the recovery mechanism for that particular wallet. And so whatever wallet you're using, you always want to make sure that you keep the way to recover that wallet in a secure place, so that if something ever happens to either the software, as it did in this case with Peter Schiff, or to the physical hardware device, if you're using a hardware wallet, maybe it got crushed or something else happened to it physically, that you can actually recover from that kind of a disaster and still be able to access your cryptocurrency. So always be conscious of what you're doing in order to protect your own private wallets. Now, the CME group surpasses BAKKT in Bitcoin options prices. So the CME group and the BAKKT organization both have introduced cryptocurrency options. And these are options similar to when you buy and sell options on the stock market. Only these options have to do with cryptocurrency and for the most part, Bitcoin in particular. And it's interesting that the CME launched theirs and they're actually exceeding the BAKKT exchange at this time. Bitcoin option markets has been evolving ever since BAKKT introduced options trading mechanism. The launch at CME has intensified the momentum. CME's options trading volumes surpass BAKKT's volumes, ended with 2.2 million traded on launching day, which happens to be considerably more than BAKKT, shy above 500,000, refer to first chart. So just an interesting bit of information. The United Kingdom IRS will probably pay over 500,000 for computer software with the capacity of tracking Bitcoins. This is another thing that's kind of happening with the regulatory industry. Regulators, whether it's the IRS for the United Kingdom or the IRS for the United States, they're doing things to try and track people's Bitcoins so that they can make sure that they're actually paying capital gains taxes. The UK Internal Revenue Service started a bid into the level of 100 pounds to obtain software. This is certainly with the capacity of monitoring Bitcoin deals. The PC software should be in a position to determine deals with cryptocurrencies that attempt to evade taxes. The HMRC, the nation's income tax company, is seeking something that will enable its cybercrime group to evaluate cryptocurrency deals according to your institution's request. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum are increasingly used for legitimate payments, but also for tax evasion and money laundering. And so if you own cryptocurrency and you're trading cryptocurrency, you may have taxable events. Now, while the United Kingdom is engaging or looking for companies to help provide them with the means of tracking that, the United States has already hired a number of different companies and has already actively pursued people who had large taxable events with cryptocurrency but didn't pay the income tax, the IRS tax on that cryptocurrency. And so if you're actively trading, or even if you just simply own cryptocurrency, it's important that you understand how that affects your taxes, because you have just simply owning cryptocurrency can incur a taxable event, and you need to check with your tax somebody who's a tax professional. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not giving you tax advice, but I am encouraging you to check with your tax professional about your specific situation, because just simply owning crypto can cause a taxable event in some cases. Cryptocurrency needs fair taxation. U.S. lawmakers introduced supportive legislation. And so the U.S. is exploring a brand new law. You might not know it, but every time you spend cryptocurrency in the U.S., you are causing a taxable event. Despite digital currencies being convenient payment methods, the nation's regulators do not treat purely digital representations of value as either legal tender or foreign currency. They treat it as property, and under IRS guidelines, when you trade property, you've incurred a taxable event. And so really what they're trying to do with this new law is make it so that if you have purchased, if you're using cryptocurrency to purchase something, as long as the profit on the cryptocurrency you're using for that purchase does not exceed $200 in profit, then it's not a taxable event. But as soon as it exceeds $200 in profit, it becomes a taxable event and is reportable. Now, what I'm talking about is not actual law yet, but rather law that's been proposed to the U.S. Congress. And if you're interested in seeing that law get passed, it would behoove you to contact your representatives in Washington and say, hey, there's this new cryptocurrency law that you guys are talking about that will make any crypto purchases that have a profit of less than $200 non-taxable events, and I want to have you pass those laws. And so the more people that actually get out there and contact their congressmen, contact their senators, the more likely that this law would pass and that we wouldn't have to be concerned about paying capital gains tax just because you bought coffee at Starbucks. So that is the news for today. How can I be of service to you? Do you have questions about cryptocurrency? Did I say anything that just didn't quite make sense? Or do you disagree with what I say? You know things that I don't know. I know things that you don't know. And when we get together and share that information, we're going to both get smarter together. So in the meantime, I hope that you'll like, subscribe, and hodl. Have a fantastic day.